Ego Rap Battle Granny versus the Warden. Begin.
Hey everyone, my name is Ego and welcome to the behind the scenes of Granny versus the Warden. This one has been a long time coming. I remember coming up with this idea when the Warden was first added to Minecraft all the way back in 2022, and it was one of those matchups where I was always like, yeah, I'll get to that one, and then I just never did. This was actually scrapped and unscrapped a couple times because I just didn't have any motivation to work on it at all. But it was ultimately Jordy, the main mixer, as well as a writer and editor and graphic designer for Ego Rap Battles, who made his own short demo with a couple lines he wrote and sent it in my Discord server when I finally saw the potential in this project and decided I actually wanted to make it. So that's exactly what I did.
I am your granny, verbally hacking and slashing. And with this pat, your head I will bash and show you one bashing bitch you should just rap it. Because my fame's so rapid. The Wardy know he's just a rancid trapping you like they used to so rapid. But just can match it, he's already half dead.
I had actually sent this beat in the channel months before, but I pretty much decided, yeah, this doesn't really fit right after sending it and then forgot all about it until Jordy made this little proof of concept with it. I wanted this battle to be heavily focused on the energy and hype factor as opposed to writing double entendres and references in every line like I usually do. I usually prioritize writing that rewards multiple rewatches so you can catch something new each time you revisit the project, but with here I just wanted to make something that was fun to listen to. There are still some lines like that, which I'll get to, but with a lot of them, what you see is what you get. I do want to give a shout out to everyone who helped me write this battle. One of my main reasons for having this one be less focused on the writing aspect was just due to the fact that these two don't really have any material to work with at all, especially Warden. This battle ended up quite long, which was a result of me not taking writing as seriously, which allowed me to write verses relatively quickly and include pretty much every idea I had. But even in spite of that, there were a few lines that didn't make the cut, so let's go over those real quick before I get into actual production stuff. Your YouTube kids songs give me the creeps. Warden's ears were slain by a sonically charged shriek. Okay, so this one was written by me. It's a reference to the FGTV Granny song, of course. This was going to be the opener to Warden's last verse, and the joke was pretty much going to be that the second half would just be silent and it'd show a death message saying Warden's ears were slain by a sonically charged shriek, which is a reference to the Warden's death message in Minecraft. This was cut because just having the audio cut out wouldn't sound very good, especially if you were listening to it out of context of the video, but I liked the death message visual idea and I ended up reusing it in the Warden's first verse for a quick visual gag. Your remake left you chopped, you have half a head to face this, you faded and you didn't need to mine down just to cave in. This one I actually kind of regret not including. It was the original finisher and was written by my friend lowkydoodles, who I've been working with pretty much since I started making rap battles, but it was touched up by me a bit. The reason I scrapped this one was mostly just because I wanted the FGTV reference as the finisher, and it's pretty much the most iconic Granny related thing like ever, and I'm glad I went with what I went with because people in the comments seem to really enjoy it. So, shooting shots with your player just to fade off, then they won by a hair and your fade off. This one is kind of a joke line that was written by lowkydoodles also, but it is pretty funny. I wish we included a line about her awful hairline somewhere. You're such a sad grandma and your crime really shows it. Out with your dead granddaughter, I'll be hanging at my own crib. So this one kinda made it in, except it was reworked as a grandpa line. I definitely prefer what we went with. I think the joke is a lot clearer in the final version. Here to break the silence for this blind bitch, I'm used to having bats wrapped inside my grip. This one goes kinda hard. I kinda wish we included this. It was also written by lowkydoodles, and I think it could have made for a good opener if it was reworked a little bit, but I'm glad we went with, ugh, I am your granny, because, you know, it became somewhat of a meme, especially in my group server. Here's some other ones that were cut last minute. Most of them are extremely similar to the final version, and some are even in the demo still, but were changed because they just weren't clicking with me. I actually sent TheToppo, the Warden voice actor, another demo that I recorded super quickly with the current lines, and it was really bad, but it got the point across. You'll stay lost, so fuck your maps is ironic a Grammy would suck at rap. No eyes, one look at me scares all the children. You're a phone E, I'm the out-of-pocket edition. And then I'm off the chain, unlike your daughter, ice cold, but I'll make like a hostage and sauna. Ultimately, I think all these changes were for the better. Now moving on to the production side, I had the idea to animate this battle by myself super early in production, and I somehow both underestimated and overestimated how difficult it would actually be. I animate in Blender and do all my final compositions in CapCut, and I use a website called Sketchfab to download all my 3D models. The specific granny model I used was a big pain in the ass because it would import super misshapen and distorted, and I would need to go in and fix it every single time I did a new shot. It also wasn't textured, meaning I had to individually select every body part and then add in the textures, which were thankfully provided, but still. It took me a bit to get a hang of the granny rig. It actually did come with pre-made stock animations, some of which are used in the battle when I was too lazy to animate myself. Basically, I didn't have any storyboard for this battle, and I pretty much made up everything as I went along. And I initially was gonna just have all the granny visuals take place in like 3 or 4 rooms, so I downloaded a model that just included a few rooms from the earliest versions of the game. I kept having ideas for visuals that just weren't possible with the current model, like the shot of Warden in the sewer or the well shot at the end. One thing that I haven't really seen any other granny battles do was reference the other games outside of the first game, and since Granny Chapter 2 is actually my favorite one in the series, I wanted to make sure I included some references in there, such as Granny playing the piano and of course Grandpa. The Grandpa model was much easier to work with, thankfully, and it helps that his verse is just way shorter. The textures were already applied, so there was no need for retexturing every individual body part like I had to with Granny. I'm actually pretty happy with how the whole Grandpa animation turned out. It's my favorite part of the battle. I know it's not perfect, but I'm quite proud of how it looks, especially that shot of him on the couch. I included a couple more cameos on the Granny side, such as Angeline and the pet spider, and of course Slendrina. I really wanted to have a shot with Nosferatu, who's just a character in Granny for some reason, but that didn't pan out, unfortunately. Overall, Granny's side had its ups and downs production-wise. There were times where I literally just considered starting over and doing PNG art, but I'm glad I didn't give up and I stuck with 3D animation the whole way through. Warden's side was thankfully a lot easier. It's way easier to animate Minecraft models because they don't have as many individual parts. The Warden model is actually not rigged for most of the battle. It's literally just a bunch of textured blocks I keyframed to look like an actual rigged animation. I did download a Warden rig, but for some reason every time I imported it, the textures were super shitty quality, so this ended up just being a lot easier. The Warden background was really fun to play around with. I love when people get these super huge environments and battles and explore them with the camera. That's always something that I love that people don't do as much now, I've noticed, which is unfortunate. Overall, Warden was still pretty tedious at points, but it was relatively painless. I don't have a whole awful lot to say about the animation process for him. Before I finish this off, one thing I said earlier that I was going to do is break down some of the more complicated lines in the battle, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I apologize if they're actually super obvious or something, but I did want to go over them regardless. The first one that I wanted to go over: can't you see why you die and I live? If you don't want smoke, then stay out of the crib. I saw a little bit of confusion with this one, with people not understanding why the subtitles changed to say Diana, but it's a reference to a song that Grandpa sings in Granny 2 occasionally as one of his voice lines.
Why to me and let me see, oh Diana, can you see?
It's basically a spin on Diana, since it sounds like die and I when said fast. The second part is just a reference to how when you summon Slendrina in Granny 1 by putting her teddy bear in the crib, there's just a bunch of smoke everywhere before she materializes in the room. You couldn't beat me with your TV trope, sir. Keep your E rating, I'll stick with DVLoper. This one might have been obvious, but I really wanted to go over it anyway because it's a favorite of mine. The first part's just filler pretty much. There's no reason why she says TV tropes other than, I guess, the concept of the Warden is kind of tropey, and I wanted to have a visual of her watching TV. The second part is a reference to the developer of Granny's name, DVLoper, which is just the word developer without the first 2 E's. It's basically saying that Warden is from a children's game while Granny is for the cool adults. Just ignore that Granny also has a fan base of predominantly children, and yeah. Slendrina, I'll take you to school, but like your model, they should have gave you the boot. Basically, the first part is a reference to an old DVLoper game called Slendrina the School, and the second part is just a reference to how Granny's model was updated to have boots, even though she originally did not have any. So yeah, that's about everything there is to cover with this one. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, please let me know. I've always wanted to make behind the scenes videos, but the last time I made one was like 4 years ago for Jeff vs. Leafy. Still though, if this does well, and even if it doesn't, I'll probably make more. I just love going into detail about stuff like this, but yeah, thanks for watching everyone. See ya.